Okay, the objective of this video is to present the Ark of Entrepreneurship. But we will present two uses of the Ark of Entrepreneurship. The first is when you are analyzing the current situation of the industry that you are trying to get in, that you are trying to enter. It means the current situation. Without current situation of the industry that you are interested in, it means why? Because you are trying to think about a new business. This is without your idea without your value proposition. Okay, and the second use of this arc is when you are designing your value proposition. If this is the arc when you are designing your value proposition. You are trying to design your business model with your value proposition. Okay, very good. Now let's continue. So in order to do that, let's use the Uber case study. You know, Uber is a well-known company in the world. You know, they connect passengers with taxi drivers. So they are a digital platform that you can use in order to take a taxi. So, but let's try to go back in the time machine in 2008 when the founders of Ubers were in trouble taking a taxi. So they were trying to take a taxi, but there were no taxis available. At that moment, they thought, why not people can take a taxi by clicking in your cell phone, clicking a button in your keyboard or whatever. So this is the aha moment for entrepreneurs. So in order to launch this business opportunity, in order to study the business opportunity, they had to analyze the taxi industry in 2008. So you know this is a very, very market assessment. They had to find who were the main players before Uber. This is in 2008. Before Uber, you know, the taxi drivers were like this. So there were two main players, so the taxi drivers and the passengers. So this is the first question for you. Who are the main players in the current industry? Current industry mean for us in this case is 2008. So what were the activities they are performing in order to take the service? What are the activities for the taxi driver and what were the activities for the passengers in 2008? But let's try to find the activities before the service, during the service, and after service. In the case of the driver, so you know at that moment, the driver had to drive around the neighbors in order to get the new passengers. And they had to compete with other drivers. They had to negotiate the price, especially in countries where taxi meters were not used. And then after that, they had to deliver the service, and after that, charge the passengers. So and the third question is, what were the benefits for the taxi drivers and what were the pains the taxi drivers get when they are performing these previous activities? Okay, so let's answer this question in the next section. Okay, here we have, let's go. Well, you know, let's check again the activities and you will see, for instance, driving around. So what were the pains for the drivers? So they consume gasoline. Driving around is a time-consuming activity, driving around to get new passengers, and that maybe generates some stress for the taxi drivers. Why? Because they are looking for to meet these daily economic goals. So they were taking long hours to get the daily economic goals. So then when they deliver and charge the passengers, they find or they gain more incomes or better incomes. Okay, as you see here, the drivers had to suffer many pains in order to get benefits. Okay, now let's go to the next player. So on the other hand, we have passengers. Now think about the passengers in 2008. So they had to leave home and find a taxi because the taxis were far away from home. They had to leave home. They had to raise the hand to stop a taxi, negotiate with the price, get in the taxi, and pay the service. So the next question is, what were the benefits for passengers and pains? So, again, when here we have insecurity, as soon as the passengers leave home, they are in risk because, he or she walking around maybe at night, some thief were there, so they feel insecurity. And also, they have no information of the driver and no information of the vehicles. Sometimes there are some bad driving behaviors. And why passengers suffers these pains? Because they were looking to arrive to destination. Okay, so this is the taxi industry at 2008. Okay, but let's take the same idea to present these ideas in a better way in the next slide. Here we have this table that help us to understand the connection between the stages, the activities, resources used, and benefits and pains. Let's start with the driver again. With the driver, there are 3 stages: before the service, during the service, and after the service. So before the service, taxis driver had to drive around to find a new passenger. It consumes time, it consumes gasoline, and they were using the vehicles. What were the benefits and pains for these activities? So longer time to get the daily economic goal. This is negative, it's a pain. They can generate high transit looking new passengers. This is another pain. They emit or high emission CO2 emissions, and they are consuming gasoline, more expenses. These are pains, only negative outcomes, only pains. When they find a passenger, they have to negotiate with the price. So the resources used is negotiation skills and time. And here again, longer time to reach an agreement. During the service, so the activities, the taxi drivers deliver the service and charge the service. So what were the resources? The vehicle for delivering the service, and also taxi driver feels insecurity because taxi drivers doesn't know the passengers. The passengers could be a thief again. So for this charge the service, sometimes they need taxi drivers have to have money to give change. But here we have a benefits, a positive outcome. This is a negative outcome. After the service, there were not activity, there were not resources, and not contact with passengers. Okay, so this is the first players, this is the driver. So let's continue with the next one. In this case is the passengers analysis. So we have the same idea: passengers, stages, before, during, after. What were the activities, resources, benefits, and pains? for passengers. So before passengers have to leave home and find a taxi, they consume time, and also they feel insecurity as soon as they leave home, and also it takes longer time to arrive destination. After that, they had to stop the passengers and negotiate the price. They need negotiation skills and time, and it takes longer time to reach an agreement. So during the service, they receive the service and it takes time. They feel also insecurity because they don't know the taxi drivers. They arrive to destination, and this is the only benefits outcome, the only positive outcome for them. And sometimes they receive bad driving behaviors, and sometimes the vehicles or the taxi smells bad or bad vehicle conditions. They have to pay the service. Sometimes they have to carry money or in cash, and sometimes it takes time to receive change. Now, finally, let's represent these ideas using the Ark of Entrepreneurship. So let's go to the next video.